Welcome to the Salty DM. This is not preparation, it's damage limitation. Short comedy reflections about roleplay, DM life, table chaos, and why we still show up. Written by Neil Meyer, creator of the Cal Harborn RPG books. Right, let's roll. Have I told you about the offline troll yet? Because I should, it's important. It's part of my weekly mental health plan now. Like yoga, but with more goblins and less smugness. The Offline Troll is this little gaming cafe I found a couple of years ago, just after lockdown ended. You remember that period, right? When society reopened and everyone collectively forgot how to behave in public? Like we'd all been factory reset. Suddenly, you're standing in a shop trying to remember if you're allowed to make eye contact without signing a consent form. Anyway, I went in for a board game. That's it. Innocent. Pure. I will buy a box of cardboard and leave. That was the plan. The Offline Troll has 6 big tables with bench seats. Not chairs. Benches. Which is a subtle but important detail because benches change how humans act. On a chair, you sit like a civilized adult. On a bench, you sit like you're about to sign up for a Viking raid. The place is basically 50% gaming space and 50% shop. One side is tables, dice, chaos. The other side is walls of board games, comics, RPG books, trading cards. It's like a nerdy sweet shop, but instead of sweets, you buy the idea that you will have time to play all of this. There's also a tiny coffee and cake corner. Not a full cafe, a corner. Like they've tucked caffeine away in the back so nobody can accuse them of being too mainstream. And I love it, because it is the opposite of corporate life. At work, everything is frameworks and quarterly objectives and someone saying, let's double-click on that. At the Offline Troll, the entire business model is basically, do you want to sit down and roll dice for a bit? Great. Don't spill hot chocolate on the comics. There are rules, obviously. There are always rules. But they're simple rules, like table fee is 5 quid per hour per person. Unless you spend more than 25 quid in products, then the table fee is waived. Unless you're the DM running a public session, in which case you don't pay at all. Which is great, because it means in this little ecosystem, I am the honey trap. I'm the lure. I am the unpaid entertainment that brings in paying customers. I'm basically a fantasy-themed busker, except instead of a guitar, I have a DM screen and unresolved feelings. And yes, I know what you're thinking. Does that make you some sort of community service? No, it makes me a very specific kind of bargain. Because I don't pay the table fee, but I do feel a deep moral obligation to buy something. Not because anyone asks me to. They never do. It's worse than that. They're nice. Nick and Nataliia run the place day to day. They're a long-term couple, and they're the type of people who somehow welcome total newbies and manage grognards with the same calm energy. You know when someone is just naturally good with people and it makes you suspicious? Like, what are you hiding? Where is your rage stored? They're both personable and patient, like saint-level patient. Someone will walk in and say, "Hi, I'm new. What's D&D?" And Nick will smile and say, "Brilliant. Let me show you." And then, 10 minutes later, a grognard will wander over and say, "Actually, in 2nd edition, that's not how initiative works." And Nataliia will smile and say, "That's lovely, darling," in a way that somehow ends the conversation without anyone dying. They always seem 1 rent increase away from living inside the dice display. That's the only sad part. But it never comes out in their attitude. They're just there, showing up, keeping the place alive. Jeff owns it. Jeff is almost never in. I've met Jeff. He has this odd vibe like he's embarrassed that he makes a living selling comics and board games, as if his parents might walk in at any moment and go, "Jeffrey, not again. Put the dice down and get a proper job." So he pops in maybe once a month, looks around like he's checking a crime scene, says, "Everything all right?" and then vanishes again, as if he's afraid the shelves might recognize him. Anyway, I found it after lockdown because I needed somewhere that wasn't my house and wasn't work. My house is lovely, but it is full of responsibilities and basset hounds. Work is fine, but it is full of corporate nonsense and people saying, "Let's circle back." The offline troll is my escape. It's my little refuge. It's not corporate. Nobody has a strategy deck. Nobody has a KPI for fun. Nobody has ever said, "Let's take this offline," because we're already offline. That's the point. So, first time I ever went in, I'm there with this box in my hands. I'm browsing, doing that thing where you pick up a game, read the back, and lie to yourself. "I will play this," you whisper. "I will have friends over. We will have snacks. We will learn the rules. We will finish a campaign." And then you put it in your basket next to 4 other games you have not played since 2019. And while I'm browsing, I hear this couple at one of the tables. Newly married. You can tell. There's a glow. There's optimism. They still believe they're in charge of their own lives. They're sitting there with a starter set, and they look like 2 people trying to assemble flat-pack furniture without instructions. They've got the dice out. They've got the rule book open. They're whispering to each other like it's a sacred text. And the bloke says, very quietly, "What's a hit die?" And the woman says, "I think it's how hard you hit." And in that moment, something in me stirred. Not kindness, not compassion, a need. Because I am a dungeon master. I have a condition. I cannot hear someone misunderstand a rule and not intervene. It's like a reflex, like when you see someone about to put a metal fork in a toaster. So I wander over, casual, pretending I'm not desperate to be involved, and I do that gentle voice DMs do when we are trying not to scare civilians. "Oh," I say, Are you playing?" And they look up at me like I'm Gandalf. "We're trying," they say. And I should have walked away. I should have said, "Lovely, good luck," and returned to my cardboard addiction. But no, I pull up a bench seat like I'm joining a support group. And for the next 20 minutes, I end up helping this newly married couple create characters. It starts small, just the basics. "All right," I say. "So you pick a class. That's like your job. Fighter, wizard, rogue." Their eyes go wide because this is the first time they've realized fantasy comes with admin. And the man says, "I want a sword." "Yes, mate, we can do that. You're safe here." And the woman says, "I want a little friend." And I feel my soul leave my body because I know what's coming. "No," I say instinctively. "No little friends. Little friends are a slippery slope." But she smiles. The smile of someone who will get what they want. "A familiar," she says. And I'm like, fine, great, wonderful. A familiar. You can have a small magical companion. That's fine. And I explain it. It's helpful. It's part of the rules. I'm being responsible. And then the man says, "Can I have armor like in that film?" And the woman says, "Can my familiar be a tiny dragon?" And I'm sat there thinking, right, we've crossed the threshold. We are no longer making characters. We are building a lifestyle. Because D&D is not a game. It is an onboarding process. And I swear to you, I watched it happen in real time, like seeing someone take their first cigarette. Nick comes over at some point with this warm smile and says, "Everything all right?" And I'm like, yes, I'm just ruining their finances. Because that is what happens. It's not the books, is it? It's not the dice. It's the accessories. It's the creep. You start with a starter set. Then you buy a set of dice because they feel nicer. Then you buy a second set of dice because the first set were rolling badly. Then you buy a miniature, just one, just to see what it's like. And then, a year later, you're stood in the offline troll on a Saturday morning looking at a dragon mini that costs more than your electricity bill and saying, "It's an investment." It's not an investment. It's a tiny plastic regret. So yes, I helped them. I explained a few things. I gave them the quick version of how to actually play. And they were lovely. Properly lovely. They thanked me like I'd saved their marriage, which, to be fair, I might have, because nothing bonds a couple like arguing over whether an elf can carry a ladder. After that day, I kept going back, because I realized this place was what I'd missed during lockdown. Not just games. People. People who choose to sit at a table and pretend together. People who are not talking about work. People who are not asking you to action anything. Just humans rolling dice and making a mess of a story in the best way. And now, Sundays are my one-shot days there. I roll in just after 1 because they open at 11, but I'm not a maniac. I like to arrive when the morning crowd is cleared, when the coffee smells right, and when the staff have had a chance to remember who they are. I usually stay until close, 5 o'clock, because once you're in there, time doesn't behave normally. It's like the shop has its own little pocket dimension. You look up and think it's been an hour, it's been 3. You think you've run 1 combat, you've run a divorce. And on Sundays, I don't pay the table fee because I'm running a public session. Jeff's not there. Nick and Nataliia are. They'll wave me over and say, "Table 3 is free." And I'll nod like I'm a professional, like I'm not about to herd a group of strangers through a haunted lighthouse with nothing but vibes and a handful of printed character sheets. And I'll buy a hot chocolate, because I'm not paying the table fee, and guilt is a powerful currency. Also, the hot chocolate is genuinely good, thick, proper, the kind that feels like a hug. And that's the thing about the offline troll. It's not flashy. It's not perfect. It's not some sleek, polished entertainment experience. It's a little refuge held together by kindness, cardboard, and the quiet desperation of people who still believe imagination is worth paying for. And I will keep going, because it gives me something work never will. A bench seat, a table, a story, and the chance to watch a newly married couple walk in for a board game and walk out 3 hours later saying, "So, do we need minis?" And me, inside, going, "Yes, yes you do." Because I'm not just a dungeon master. I'm a dealer. And the offline troll is my favorite place to do business. Thanks for listening to The Salty DM. New episodes are on the way. You'll find listings to more of my RPG work in my profile. If you'd like to support the show, the Patreon link is in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this, please leave a rating. If you didn't, perhaps don't. See you soon.